Okay, in a previous video, I, I did factoring trinomials, and those are pretty easy. And I realized after I finished that I didn't do any of those that are a little bit harder to do. And these won't come up a whole lot, but they come up sometimes. So I want you to be able to do these also. So I'm going to start out with a trinomial, and which is be this one: 2x squared plus 10x plus 12. Okay, it's a little more difficult because our first coefficient is not a 1 this time. Okay, it's a 2. So it becomes more difficult when you have numbers other than a 1 to start with. Okay, so this is how I do it. And there's other methods to do this, and you can look them up, textbooks or online or so on. But I really just do guess and check, and I feel that when you practice this enough, all right, it's actually just as quick as doing anything else. So I started with two sets of parentheses. Now when I have a 2 here, okay, I have to factor 2. Okay, so it's 2 times 1. So in some ways it's not too hard because the only way I can multiply to make a 2x squared is a 2x and an x. So I know in my first term, my first spots in my parentheses, I have to have a 2x and an x. All right, now when I factor, go to the last term, 12, lots of things I can multiply to make it 12. 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and a 3 times 4. Of course, this is a positive 12, so I actually am kind of using a little rule here. Okay, so I've stuck with a positive 1 and a positive 12, positive 2 and a positive 6. So I don't need to use these. Don't use these because those multiply to make a negative 12. Negative 1 times 12. So I know my signs have to be the same, and I could be thinking about, and you wouldn't have to write this down, a negative 1 times a negative 12, negative 2 times a negative 6, and a negative 3 times negative 4. But I know right away those are not going to work because my sign in front of that 10 is a positive. So I'm kind of using the rules because I know them pretty well. So, but I'm going to do guess and check. Now, if you're doing this, you know, not on Promethean board like I am, where I can erase really easy, all right, or do a back button, do this really light with a pencil. So if I just experiment and use a 1 to 12, and if I put a 1 to 12 right there, okay, and I just put plus signs here, okay, when I multiply the 2x and the 12, I get a 24x, and when I multiply the 1 to x, I get a 1x. And when I add these up, I get 25x. That's not even close to that 10x I have in the middle. So I know that 1 and 12 are not going to work. Okay, so I would erase those. Okay, if I do this really light, of course. And say, well, what if I think about changing that to 12 and 1? Because since the 2x and the x are not the same, it might be because I might have them backwards. Okay, if I put the 12 here and the 1 here, oh, I still see that this is a 12 and that's a 2. Okay, 12x or 2x, they're both positive. Yeah, the 14x. I see the 1 and 12 does not work. I'll cross those out. Okay, and it seems like it'd be, really a long time doing it like this. There must be a better way. But you can kind of do some mental math ahead of time. Let's say we're thinking about a 2. Instead of actually writing, let's think about putting the 2 there. Just think about it. I know I'm writing a 2 and a 6 down, but let's think about it. A 2 and a 6. I'm going to multiply that 6 times 2x is 12x. 2 times x is a 2x. They added 14x. I know that's not going to work. If I switch them, let's see. 2x times 2 is 4x. Ooh, looks like I might have something here. The 2x times a 2, if I put a 2 there, is a 4x. And if I put the 6 right here, 6 times x, that's a 6x. Add up to 10x. Okay, I got my middle number. I got my terms. Okay, so it seems like a really long process, but if you do enough of these, you're going to find that you're going to anticipate really quickly what the answer is going to be. You might have one or two false starts, and not a bunch of them. Alright, let's try 3x. Let's try another one. Alright, the next one I have is 3x squared plus 5x plus 2. And actually this one's a little easier because the first coefficient, which is 3, is prime, and even the last coefficient, 2, is prime. So the fewer factors are, the fewer choices I have to check. 3x squared, I have to use a 3x and x. I have no choice there. 2 is a 2 times and 1. Okay, so the only possibilities I could have is I have to put a 2 and a 1 in here. Okay, so do I have it, which way do I put it? If I put the 2 in the first parenthesis, I have a 2x. If I put the 1 in the last parenthesis, 1 times 3x is 3x, I get what I need, 2x. And see, you can't see what I'm doing, but you can probably maybe hear, I'm going through this in my mind. If I put the 2 in the first parenthesis, I'm going to multiply that by that x, which is 2x. And I don't actually write it down, I just think it out. If I put 2 there, I get a 2x. If I put the 1 back here in the second parenthesis, that's going to multiply by the 3x, and I'll get a 3x, and they'll add up. Okay, there's my factors. Okay, not bad at all. Okay, let's try a couple more. Okay, let's see, 2x squared plus 9x minus 5. Okay, well, I got a subtract sign at the end this time. Okay, alright, so start at 2x squared. I can use a 2x and an x, the only thing I can use there. Alright, when I look at the negative 5 at the end, 1 times a negative 5, or a negative 1 times a positive 5, that's it. Okay, so I got to think, where would I put a 1? And would I want it to be positive or negative? And I kind of actually use the rules here. Okay, inside I have a positive, so to get a positive, I need my bigger answer to be positive. So I can actually see right away, okay, that if I put a 5 back here, that 5 will multiply by 2x and get a 10. If I put a 1 right there, that 1 multiplied by x get a 1x, 10x, and a 1x. If I subtract, make a 9x. So which do I want to be positive? I want the 10x to be positive and the 1x to be negative. Okay, there's my factors, just like that. Okay, and just in case you want to verify, you can always FOIL this out. 2x times x, 2x squared. 2x times 5 is a 10x. And negative x times x, negative 1 times an x, a negative 1x. Negative x, and a negative 1 times 5 is a negative 5. And these will always combine. So a 10x and a minus 1 is a positive 9x. And that's our original problem. So we know we factored it correctly. Alright, let's try another one. Okay. Let's try a harder one. Okay. Let's try this one. 8x squared plus 14x plus 3. Of course, they can't get harder because, why is it harder? Because, alright, I picked a number in front here that has, that's not a prime number. It's got two sets of factors, 1 times 8, 2 times 4. Okay, now this 3 back here is actually easy. It's just 1 times 3. So when I do this problem, I see my 3 is prime, so I start out I just do 1 times 3. Okay, I know that's what automatically has to be there. Now I have a little thinking of doing my 8x squared. I could be thinking about 4x times 2x, or I could be thinking of x times 8x. And which order I put it makes a difference also. So I need a total of 14. That's my target. Okay, so if I think about the 4x times 3, 4x times 3, that's a 12x. So I'm thinking of these two right now. If I multiply the 4 times 3, that's a 12. A 2 times that 1 is a 2. 12 plus 2 is 14. So I think I got it. So let me put a 4x there. and 2x there. And I kind of hold off on my signs, okay? Make sure, okay, that's a plus sign, so they're either both positive or both negative. I'm kind of using my little rules here. Okay, that's a plus sign, so they're both pluses. Let's double check. I just check the outside and the inside. In our FOIL, there's my inside, that's a 2x. And here's my outside, 4x times 3, that's a 12x. They're both positive, they add up to 14x, which is in my middle. And there we go. And the last tip I have for you is, okay, you could look up some of these to do, but you can create your own. And that's just really what I did here. Okay, for example, let's say I just pick something like 3x plus 2, and I'll pick something like x plus 4 right here. Alright, I'll FOIL it out. So I have 3x squared plus 3x times 4 is a 12x. And then 2 times x, that's a positive 2x. And 2 times 4, that's an 8. Combine the middle. 3x squared plus 14x plus 8. Okay, so now I have a problem. Here's a problem that I can factor. Okay, and here's actually the answer. So when you do this, you're kind of, if you want to do the multiplication on one sheet and then write the problems on another sheet, your problems on the other sheet, you can come back and work these problems out again. Put the sheet down for a few hours or so it's not fresh in your mind what the answer is, but you're building an answer sheet and some problems at the same time. So, and you have problems you can work on. So that's my video on doing trinomials that are a little bit harder. I'll use guess and check and just enough practice that you get good enough.